Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman here on Humanity Healing, and especially today on Solstice. It's an amazing opportunity. You may not hear me. Let me see if we can get this untangled. This is perfect. Good morning, Rachel. This is perfect. It's exactly how my whole morning has gone. Upside down, tangled up. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me? I'm not so sure. Okay, I think you can hear me now. Let's hope so. It's all fun. Just to show up and be with you all. So I'm gonna clear my throat. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, it's solstice once again, and it's a joy to be here with each of you, and know that around the world, wherever we are, we're tuning into the energies of this beautiful, powerful day. It happens on two ends of the cycle, and we have summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, and we have winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, which is primarily due to the population being in the northern hemisphere. A lot of the traditions are based around that, so it's more well known as winter solstice. However, wherever you are around the world, I want you to just tap into this cycle of life, which is so important on so many levels. So today is December 21st, as you know, and the actual solstice time will be at 5:23 p.m., and that's Eastern time. I know a lot of you around the world, and some of you are into the next day, perhaps. But the important thing is that the sun angle to the earth is 23.5 degrees. And when we look at that on a map or on a chart, it's sort of a pie shape. So we have 23.5 degrees here and 23.5 degrees to the other side. And together, they create a span of 47 degrees at which the Earth tilts back and forth, so that we have longer days of light in the north and then longer days in the south as opposing energies. This little pie slice of light that we live in is really important, because we are children of the sun. We are light beings. We are amazingly beautiful energy sources that were created to exist here on this planet. And I want you to just tap into the light that you feel inside of yourself. And most of us look at this in the northern hemisphere as a season of darkness. We lose the light. And so as the days grow shorter, the sunsets become earlier. And it brings us to a place of contemplation. Whereas on the other hand, in the southern hemisphere, they're gaining in light, and they're rejoicing the return of the light. And as their days grow longer, it is now their longest day of light. And so we wish them joyous abundance as they celebrate the abundance while we celebrate the lack. Interesting how this balances every year, and we go about our lives and we don't think too much about it other than for brief moments. But if you really tap into solstice, and numerologically, it becomes an 11 because we take those two halves and make it 47 degrees total, add the 7 and the 4, and we have the wonderful master number 11, which then further breaks down into a 2, duality. And so here we are, these master numbers, as master beings, and we too break down into 2, a duality. So this morning, as I played with this in my mind, I wrote a bunch of things as I usually do. And there's a prayer that I have for today, and one that's an affirmation that I wrote. But the number 11, when I started to dive into that, as I was called to do, what I found was some interesting, just brief facts. That the number 11 represents the central union of the sky, which is a 6, and the earth, a 5. And here we have this relationship between the earth and the sky, a 5 and a 6 coming together as an 11. And then the union of the microcosm and the macrocosm. The number 11 represents both that. And I liked how they wrote the union. And the next wisdom that I found was the polarity of the internal human body, as far as organs are concerned, are considered a 5 yang and 6 yin. 11 again. And it speaks of the imbalance of our human physical bodies in this perfectly balanced world. And so here we are representing creation. Each one of us representing creation and going about our daily lives as if that was all there is to life. So I tapped into that and thought, wow, how much we ignore parts of life that are the keys to our existence. And we just go about our lives, particularly in this season with the celebration of other holidays, but we forget that when we take away all of what our minds have created and placed over this simple tilting of the sun and its rays on the earth. When we think about it, we can tap into the core essence of who we truly are. And hopefully in that moment, we bring forth a message from our highest self that enables us to look forward to the next year and say, this is how I want to represent. that I want to represent as my highest self, my solar aspect, my brilliant light, however you want to look at it. And good morning to each of you it's lovely to see you in the sidelines here this morning. Just seems to be working for me, which is always a fun moment. And so I wrote this as I pondered so many things this morning, and I want to first read, I think, it was a prayer, and it's a prayer by Cal Garrison, who gives her AKA as Mother of the Sky. And it was the light of the winter solstice. So please just tap into a quiet space within your heart and listen to her words as she expresses her thoughts on this solstice, because it was written in 2018 for this solstice. She wrote that, "I am so grateful to be alive in my heart, and my heart is full of things that require more from me than my usual astrological ramblings." And so she wrote this prayer. I think it's for all of us. In this season where darkness and light meet and become one, quantum effects in the heart of creation stir the matrix and birth the seed atom for the coming year. From the central core of the gravity wave, the life force begins to oscillate, rippling through the waters of the deep, opening us to a sense of oneness out of which the next cycle can emerge. If we are attentive to the way spirit moves whenever it enters the great void, it becomes more than evident that a new atmosphere is formed. Within this nothingness, no longer spellbound by worn-out distractions and patterns of fear and separation, time and space cease to exist, and each breath connects us to all that is, and to love that fills us with life. As this love awakens and expands beyond the boundaries that confine it only to the self, we begin to understand that it is now safe to let it flow unconditionally. With the light of winter solstice calling us to add this higher kind of love to the ceremonial fire, with our senses focused and our attention on the only thing that matters, there is no place to go but within. Inside the silence that pervades that space, the voice of the Great Mother will speak. And it is through her that the visions for the next cycle will be made real. We are living on a fifth dimensional wavelength. On this level, love travels at the speed of thought. What lies ahead will be woven into the threads of thought and feeling that we spin with this coming week. Keep prayers for love, truth, beauty, trust, harmony, and peace echoing in your life. Close your eyes and light up the corner of your heart that remembers the purpose for which you came into being. When it becomes clear enough to read the writing on the wall and see what that involves. Bathe in that message. And in the moment when the truth sets you free, let it steer you closer to the light through the coming year. I will post that in the sidebar later. I can't do it now as my USB drive fails to be recognized by my computer. I love life. It's so beautiful. And so this is where we are. We're really at this deeper junction of life where we need to raise our sense of humor at how many minor things are bothering us so deeply. And yet we're part of this vaster development of humanity. We're in this gateway of potential that we as humans can't even fully realize right now. And each one of us are one light, one being of light in that great field of light that is returning as we speak here of winter solstice, returning light. In Newgrange, it shines through this little hole, small opening into the inner chamber. And so allow that light of winter solstice or solstice, summer solstice, any solstice, doesn't matter. Shine into that heart space, your heart space, and ignite and light up what's written on the walls. And know that we're not here alone. We have never been alone. We have always been guided. And we've always been loved. It's important now for us to realize that and to end the separation that we're now experiencing. So when I look at the return of this light this year, I look at it as far more than I ever have in the past. And I'm working within myself to align with it at a level which I can't even imagine at this point. But I ask each of you to reach to those depths and those expanses, to let go of your judgments, to let go of your labels. And yes, it will be fearful at times, and you will be unsure at times, and you will be exhausted at times. But it's perhaps the greatest moment I think we have to offer the future of humanity. And that is for each of us to activate our light at higher levels. So on the sidelines here, whatever, thank you, have loved the 11 connection, and about stepping into the highest of our highest self as we step into the new year. This is Gemma, and I can't pronounce your last name, but Gemma, she says, I'm in the Southern Hemisphere, it's 11:13 p.m. and 26 degrees. Obviously, warm. And I'm trying to think, centigrade, that's what you use in the Southern Hemisphere. Pardon my mind. My mind is not as good as my heart, believe me. She's in Perth, Western Australia. Well, bless you and bless all of Australia. We love you. We're all part of this one family. And let's see, what else have we got here? Thank you. Give out love, never hate, and let the light in and project it to others. Wanda Avery. Thank you for being here and sharing your words. And so I do, yeah, Celsius. Thank you, Margaret. As I say, this little brain here, the human brain, is not to be trusted for me. It's an honor to be here with each of you. And one of the cards I pull this morning, I have a few cards which are fun. This is a beautiful galactic card here. This is a pair of galaxies known collectively as ARP 87. We should find better names. The card, though, is about intuition. I follow my intuition, knowing the insight I receive provides me with security and love. The affirmations for that are, I trust and follow my inner knowledge. I recognize the loving guidance I hear within my heart as it guides me in wonderful ways. I am aware of my inner power, and I intend to live in peace and love. How appropriate for today. Let's live in peace and love. Let's move forward in peace and love. Let's gather in our hearts and know that we are the ones who have chosen to be here now, to be that light. The little card from A Course in Miracles, which I facilitated years ago. And I know it's had many moments of people liking it and not liking it, etc. However, the words are important. The healing of God's Son is all the world is for. That is the only purpose the Holy Spirit sees in it, and thus the only one it has. So let's be together on this. Let's join at the heart on this and be part of this great gift that the universe and the Holy Spirit, all of creation, offers us. It's 10:22 here, and I wanted to bring this affirmation into your hearts. And this is what I wrote this morning. It's brief, it's not long. But as I thought about the show and what I was going to say and do, I said, there are so many people who have written so much and understand so much. Who am I to compare to them other than by speaking through my heart? And that's what I do. And that's what my talks are about. That's what the message for all of us is to talk from our hearts. So I wrote this. On the day of solstice, be it winter or summer, we gather and remember the source of our light. Life is sacred. Life is divine. Life is experience. We are incarnated here on planet Earth. Each living moment is precious beyond words. We are here to experience the sacredness of the powerlessness of our existence. Think about that. We who are these amazing, powerful beings, gifted with powers beyond our recognition, have come here to experience the sacredness of our powerlessness. And when those words came through me, I realized in that moment how we are all driven to seek power. But the power that we're seeking, false power. It's a temporary power. And it has a dark side, just like we have the light and the dark of the solstice. And when that power is misused, it becomes the dark power. We're living now in world and times where that dark power has manifested to an extreme level. So I say we're at the fulcrum point. We're at the 23.5 degrees. And now we're going to return back to balance. How long that takes, I don't know. Could be 23,000 years. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that each of us honor ourselves and become a part of it. And so I have some affirmations for you. Just take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Feel every molecule of existence around you, within you, and coming through you. And in your heart, just allow these words to settle. Don't try to think about them. Just allow them to settle in that empty space of your heart where the light is going to return. I am ready for positive change. I activate my path of service. I will take my place as one of the children of the sun. I am here to co-create and manifest my part in the divine plan. I ask that my higher self aspect step forward now to be seen and to be heard. I choose now to embody my crystalline, angelic higher self. Allow those words of affirmation to lay on the altar within your heart space. knowing that the light shining in will activate those, nurture those, and fill you with messages of your divine purpose. We're all here together, part of humanity healing in much more ways than we ever could imagine. And so as I'm about to close, I'm looking down through the scroll. Bernadette wishes holiday season blessings. Mary Emily says God works within and without, gives us the love of Jesus Christ to overcome the evil in Jesus' name. Kay says it's chosen pagan path because it aligns with who I am from my ancestors. Blessed be he or she greets us with. And blessed be indeed each one of you, irregardless of what path you have chosen. But honor that path. Trust your guidance. And know that if it brings forth darkness in any shape, manner, or form, it is false. It is the light that is the creative force. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. May each of you spend the rest of your day and the season and the full moon, which is coming tomorrow. I believe it's not totally in sync with the solstice, but it's, let's see, what is it? Full moon rises at 12:49 here on Eastern Time in America. Honor the full moon, your offerings. Get out and do some water blessings. Bless the water. We're 99%, the atoms in our body are 99% water. Or love, love, love. And thank you for being with me today and this morning and allowing me to share my words and the words of others. And as we come up to Christmas, another joyous moment of light, may you all who celebrate that honor the meaning of that, the meaning of light in the Christ child, and love one another. Aho. Till next week, be at peace. And we have New Year coming, which is going to be exciting. Bye-bye.